I'm Sarah Lacy.
And I'm Paul Carr.
And welcome to Why Is This News? Today, we're going to talk about a very divisive subject, which spans, technology and
intrigue
spans every country in the world. And Hillary
spying.
Clinton was doing a statement about it just a few moments ago.
As Hillary Clinton and spying. It's got everything.
Yeah.
It's a John le Carre novel with Hillary Clinton in the lead.
WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks.
So, okay. First of all, I want to talk about...
Can you see my angry face already?
I know. Before you get off on a rant here, I think what's interesting about this story, there's a lot of talk about the good and the bad of this, which we can certainly get into. But I think what's interesting is the inevitability. I mean, really, we can vilify the site all we want, but and we'll do that in a minute.
We'll get to that.
But really, we're just seeing the government now being held to what individuals have been held to, and we've seen, Mark Zuckerberg's IMs from college show up, in news and blog posts. Certainly, every memo that any Yahoo CEO, sends out is either on All Things D or is on TechCrunch. We've become such a community of leaks, and everyone's mad when it's being done to them, and everyone argues that it hurts their competitive position. I guess the question is there a reason that government inherently should be, somehow held sacrosanct above that?
Yes, there is an argument for that, and it's called. Now, I was on the anti-war marches in London. I wrote for The Guardian. I hate Dick Cheney as much as the next man. But every so often, there is a national security argument. But there's also a diplomatic argument. And so first of all, let's clarify what's happened here. The leaks are bullshit. The leaks are something that any junior-ranking diplomat or mid-ranking soldier could have accessed. They're on this thing that they put out. Basically, it was to encourage sharing of information. Precisely what WikiLeaks talks about doing was what the US government, and I'm always surprised, much like when I read about freedom of information, I'm always amazed that these laws ever got passed, by these governments that are supposed to be so clingy, because they basically passed maybe not a law, but a rule that most mid-range, not top-secret documents would be shared amongst allies and amongst mid-ranking soldiers, and so they were put on this system. And some of them were marked as not non-for, or whatever it is, not for foreign eyes. And the idea was that people would be trusted to use these documents correctly and not to share something that was not a massive national secret, but
not unlike all hands memos that CEOs
precisely. And this stupid little soldier who had a beef against the army, partly for legitimate reasons, partly because he was a whiny little bitch, took it upon himself to download all these documents and pass them to WikiLeaks. So no one really, it's much like these all-hands memos or whatever else. No grand thing has happened here. This isn't like the Pentagon Papers. This isn't like Watergate. It's just some little dick decides that he is more important than the system and every other serviceman, and takes these documents, leaks them.
That having been said, then why is it such a big deal?
Because it's two things. First of all, it's because everybody likes to punch the American government in the nose. Partly it's because there's all this sort of the CIA can't catch this guy. There's where in the world is Julian? What's his name? It's just exciting. But when you actually get down to it, it's embarrassing. It's not going to, they said that it was going to affect American troops' lives. There's no real evidence that's happened.
Well, so again, back to my earlier question.
So here's the thing. Because, let me tell you why it's dangerous.
When you make information available to people,
Right.
don't make it available in this day and age of the web if you don't expect someone to leak it.
Precisely. So that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the fact that what it basically says, and it's already happened today, the government has American government has put in these new steps to safeguard this information. All this openness that they were working on and that they were trying really hard to do has now been shut down because they're this is why we can't have nice things. It's we trusted you to behave while we were out, and we come back and you've done
behave.
No, I know, but that's insane.
Where are we seeing any...
But what is WikiLeaks trying to do? Because he stands there on his podium.
But it's not him. It's not him. It would be done anyway.
No, it wouldn't. Not like this.
There's so many people.
No, well, okay, perhaps it would be, but
that's
lots
saying if Yahoo ferreted out who was sending out memos to blogs of every
but that doesn't mean that person shouldn't be fired.
That person would be fired, and it would never happen again.
I'm not saying
you're talking about human nature.
I agree, and you know what's also human nature, and I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but I'm going to be anyway. Murder is human nature. All those things are human nature that we have laws against, and that when people get caught doing it, we kill them. We don't say, "Well, that'll wrap up murder."
We put in laws to make if we had them, it'd be great, gun protection laws and other things to make sure that people don't murder people.
Okay.
If you don't, this is all I'm saying. I'm not putting a value judgment on leaking is good or bad. I'm just saying, in the case of these, it's a lot of awkward conversations that the U.S. has to go back and have. It's a lot of, pissed off
most
other
of which
countries
are funny,
right
has
now.
To be said, but
you know, these we're all water cooler conversations, you know, for the most part. That
and
you
the
know,
world
were
will keep on
snapshots
turning.
on like certain time, and like diplomatic relationships have evolved since then. So it's, you know, if we're just talking about the government being embarrassed,
Right.
how is that any different than any company?
Well, because when Carol Bart's memos get leaked, and I still have my issues with this, Evan Williams' emails get leaked, no one dies. No one gets killed in the field.
You just said there's no evidence.
No, I'm saying there is no evidence. But the point is, you're saying we shut down WikiLeaks, other people will do it. This time it was bullshit. Next time it might not be bullshit. If we start getting this sense that this is what will happen.
Well, but hopefully the U.S. government is not putting stuff like that on an open system next time.
But next time
it
might not be an
open.
Right.
I mean,
but
I'm
next
just saying,
time,
like, let's be clear about what we're talking about.
Next time it might not be an open system. Is my point. If we start saying that it's good and right that these things get leaked, no, I'm not saying.
No one's saying it's good and right.
Well, yes.
No,
you're not.
Well, can I be very clear? I'm not saying it's good
no.
and right. I'm saying it's inevitable.
You're not.
And you should protect against it.
So let me get to that. But first, let me say, lots of people are saying it's good or right. The one that's not Jimmy Wales that co-founded Wikipedia put a thing on Twitter yesterday saying that he thought WikiLeaks was damaging to America, was an enemy of America. And he has got so much hate from people who say, what, you want closed government? You want... No, there are a lot of people who genuinely believe that every document that the US government has, as if it should be published. Well, let me get what we agree on. We agree then that the result of this is going to be that all of these efforts that the US government, for better or worse, have made to open up this information to their allies and to soldiers and to everyone else will now get shut down. And the whole point of WikiLeaks was supposed to be openness. And what's actually happened is the exact opposite. Yes, we got these few meaningless leaks, 250,000, which on the grand scheme of things is nothing, leaks. But as a result, all this openness they've worked towards is now going to be shut down. Much like, it would be like thanking Al-Qaeda for improving airport security. All they've done is close down everything.
Do you really think the point of WikiLeaks is openness?
That's what he says.
I think it's the point is catching people with their pants down.
No, I think the point is his ego. I think it's a massive ego.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not openness.
No, I agree, but the stated goal, I'm just trying to highlight that the stated goal is bullshit.
People clamp down, period.
Yeah.
You're not going to do anything on leaks.
But, well, some leaks, let's look at
Pentagon
Papers, let's look at Watergate, let's look at, well, Watergate wasn't a leak, but let's look at some of the bigger leaks. Some leaks do actually make change. Sometimes when what you're leaking is scandalous, then something, and this is...
But it never creates more openness. It never creates more openness.
No, it doesn't.
Because no one wants that to happen
But there
again.
usually isn't an argument to say, oh, well, this will generally create more openness. Much like when you catch one murderer, it doesn't end murder. It's a question of, well, what this will do is it will mean that this one thing that we've whistleblown on, it's usually whistleblowing. You say, look at this terrible thing. I'm leaking this document for the greater good. It's evil. Leaking for the sake of it, achieves nothing. And if anything, means that the statement that WikiLeaks makes that they're going to encourage openness is they have achieved the precise opposite. Everything about WikiLeaks is bad. There is nothing good about it. We've learned nothing useful. We've heard of no massive scandal that's been covered up, and now everything's going to be closed down.
What about the view, though, that culturally the U.S. government knows stuff can get out, knows it has to be more transparent, knows it could be putting stuff out there that could, and somehow that drives some sort of transparency within the government.
No, it knew during the Cold War that there were Russian spies everywhere, but it didn't stop it doing secret things.
I don't think that's the same thing as WikiLeaks.
No, exactly. They were, because the Russians were good at it, and they're actually finding out stuff that we really didn't want them to know.
Right, but they weren't publishing it on the web for American citizens to get up in arms about. They were taking it back and using it as information. That's a totally different...
To try and overthrow the American government. I'd say there'd be more to worry about than Russian spies.
Dude,
some
I'm not arguing it isn't. Try to keep up. I'm saying it's a very, very different thing. I don't know how you can compare Russian spies are the same thing as some guy giving a platform.
What are they going to be more careful about is what I'm saying. They're going to do fewer secret things. They're going to do fewer things they don't want the American people to find out about. No, of course they're not. Because my point is, the Russians finding out about it was much more dangerous than some douche with a blog getting up in arms. I think the American government will simply do things better, be more secretive in a better way, in a more effective way. I don't think the idea that we're going to now stop American diplomats spying on allies and go, oh, well, we got caught with our pants down there. It's like, don't be silly. I mean, diplomacy has worked in a certain way and war has worked in a certain way for hundreds of years, and it's been relatively effective.
You know what? You could say the same thing about corporate relations, and because of the internet, people... Are you kidding me? People do not put stuff in email. People do not put stuff in
better at hiding it.
People do not just fly off the handle. I'm saying when someone says something, when someone does anything in a corporate world, particularly in high tech, people know in the back of their head,
this might get out.
This might get out.
Yeah.
This might get out. And I don't think that's a bad thing for government to have that in the back of their head. But isn't that just a question of being better at hiding it? Like, it's not that CEO doesn't want to, like,
fire the member of staff they want to fire. It doesn't mean that they're not going to do the policy that's going to be massively unpopular. It just means they're going to not be stupid enough to put in an email. And I think you're right. The American government will now be not so stupid to share this information. They'll now just do it in a closed room with cigars like they would do in the 60s. And is that something we should be proud of? Is that something we should be saluting that crazy Swedish guy for doing? I mean, I don't think so. I think it's a massive step backwards in the name of openness and a step forward. I think it's an ego-driven sack of shit that's going to make the world and relations between allies. And I'd say this as a Brit who, like, there's loads of stuff that's apparently going to cause problems between the Brits and the Americans. There's like, none of this is good. I can't see one good thing apart from, people are going to not put things in emails. Well, great. Now we've got no accountability. I'm just sad.
Join us next week on Why Is This News when we'll try to pick a more uplifting topic. Maybe puppies?
Maybe when we decide, it will be on WikiLeaks before we know what the subject will be. And the world will be a much better place.